No, let me hear from you.
Well, let's hear from you.
All right, let me ask a question. Let me ask some questions. Yes. Let me ask some questions. Okay. Yes. Number one.
Mic check.
Number one.
Number one.
Would each of you raise your hand if you have visited with a member of the state legislature? Those of you who have visited with a member of the state legislature. Would each of you, put your hands out, would each of you who have written a letter to the governor, please raise their hand.
The government is co-opted by corporate funds.
No, governor. Governor. How many? Wait a minute. How many of you have written to the governor?
Me.
Don't patronize us.
No, I'm not patronizing you. I'm asking you how, in fact, you're going to do something to gain what you're after. This is an important movement. This is an important movement. The future of public higher education in California is at risk right now. Not because the fees are going up, but because there is not enough money to support higher education.
That's not
Priorities are wrong.
Hey,
If the money, no more bonds.
Neoliberal economic policy is killing public education. We need to tax corporations.
You guys let him talk.
You can push and everything for the fees to be reduced, but that doesn't increase the support for higher education. You need these bankers that you're talking about.
No! We need them to be taxed.
All right, let me put it differently.
They need to be taxed.
Let me put it differently. You have to get people to pay the taxes. You've got to get the governor to support an increase in the budget. You have got to get the legislature to approve that. You have got to make your case for more money, not for just going after the fee increase. You understand that?
How about you take How about you pay more taxes?
Okay.
Hold on.
To address us.
Let's at least let him speak.
Let's at least let him speak.
And then afterwards.
Say whatever.
Say something.
Stop yelling at him.
Stop yelling at him.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Actually, there's a question over here from the right, which I'll answer, and then let's see what else questions you have. What you want to say? Wants to know whether or not I've been working on this. I've been working on it. Wants to know whether I've been working on it. I and my colleagues in the presidencies and the other campuses have been working on this for 4 years now. We have been in the legislature. We have been to see the governor. We have been in the legislative office. We have written to people. We have sent you requests to do something, your parents to do something. We have been doing everything possible in order to build up support for the funding of public higher education. Now I am asking you to show your support for public higher education by getting out there, to get to Sacramento. Every Friday, these legislators are in their offices here in San Francisco. And you want to know something else? Throughout the state, every one of the Republicans who is opposing increases in the funding of higher education, every one of those people is in his or her office throughout the state. Why aren't you there? Why aren't you supporting what we need to have done, which is to get the legislature to pass a budget that will help higher education? That's what you need to do, and that's what you do to actually form the binding with the rest of Occupy, to get something done which will save opportunities for everybody to get a decent, low-cost education in California.
We cannot play within the neoliberal hegemony.
For Corrigan,
We will put you on staff.
we will put you on staff.
That way, one by one, you can ask your question.
You can ask your question.
To provide the support, you've got to have money coming from someplace. What the board originally was going to do was what the board originally was going to do, but they didn't end up doing it, was to pass a increase in fees subject to having the governor buy it out. On 5 occasions, the governor has bought out a fee increase. In other words, he has said, I will put more money in. That was their original effort. It didn't end up being passed that way. But you're dealing with a budget now for this campus from the legislature, which is the same as it was in 1998. We're trying to educate thousands of more students. For the first time in our history, a couple of springs ago, we turned down new admissions. If we don't get the money that we need, we'll turn down another 2,500 students coming in. 1,200 students. We'll lose 2,500, we'll lose 1,500 sections possibly. We need the money. If we can't get it from the legislature, it's got to come from someplace. I'm asking you, indeed I am begging you, to bring the message to the legislators, and to bring the message to the legislators who, like the Republicans in Washington, are standing between us and what we should have as citizens of this state and of this nation. And what we need is a well-educated population. We need you to be able to get an education. We need your brothers and your sisters to get an education. And the only way that's going to happen is if we change the attitudes in Sacramento and the attitudes in Washington. And it's great to have you here, because I hope this is no, I'm serious. I hope this is a part of an awakening on your part to what you need to do, what activism has to bring about. But it's not going to do any good simply to roll back the fee increase. You've got to have something that replaces that. And the only thing that replaces it is going to be money voted on by the legislature in a budget that the governor supports. That's what you have to do.
I don't see any campus police and riot gear, so we're one step ahead already. But honestly, Mr. President, I have to ask. Since I was 12 years old, my parents have taught me how to write letters to governors, to senators, to state reps, and to presidents. And because I can't include $1,000 in each with a check in each one, it gets me nowhere. As students, we are the front line. Behind us is our professors and the immediate faculty. And behind them is the administrators. Now I see students taking cuts. I see professors and faculty taking cuts.
Here's your cut.
But when it comes to the administration, all I see are raises.
That's right.
Cuts followed by raises. So while I acknowledge this is but a small step for our campus, it is a huge step for you to show good faith. Are you willing to donate your raises to this campus so that we can have more books, and we can have more faculty, and we can have more computers?
I haven't had a raise since 2007. Wait a minute. The staff on this campus have not had a raise since 2007. The faculty on this campus have not had a raise since 2008. Every single member of the staff and the faculty took a 10% furlough 2 years ago in order that they took less money in order that classes should be taught. So yes, it's symbolic to say, hey, go out and take a cut. The budget that goes to support all of the management people on this campus, the amount of money is less than 4%. Less than 4% of the budget. If you're gonna get anything done, you've got to get new money coming in, okay? That's the way it gets done. Not by individuals taking salary cuts.
It would help a lot.
How much do you make, sir?
$298,000.
Zach.
Corporate party. Okay, the other thing, let's deal with a statistic. Let's deal with a statistic that has nothing at all to do with banks, etc. You understand that the corrections officers in this state right now enjoy a budget of over $9 billion. The budget for the University of California and the California State University together is less than half of that $9 billion. When we took the first cut each of our sectors. We took a $650 million cut in the CSU, and the University of California took a $650 million cut. And guess what? The prison system got an increase of $362 million. Right now, if the trigger is pulled, we get cut another $100 million. The University of California gets cut $100 million, and with that $9 billion budget, the prison system loses $20 million. Where is your voice? Why aren't you out there? You know the same statistic that I do, that, for example, there are more African American males between the ages of 18 and 30 in prisons in this state than there are, in fact, in universities. We know that estimates are made about what the size of the prisons has to be in terms of the reading scores of third graders. You don't have to have a lot of money, my good man. You don't have to have a lot of money to get out there and to be active and be part of the population that is pushing for reform. You have to support reform candidates. You don't need a lot of money to do that.
You tell us that we should contact our legislative right to politicians, get out there and vote. What do you think students and young people did in 2008? And what did we get? More wars? More tax cuts for the rich? It doesn't work. That's why we're out here. All we're asking is for you to stand here and support us. Earlier this year, students went to Sacramento. 71 of us got arrested in the state capitol rotunda. There was not a single administrator there standing with us.
Financial logic that goes behind making things happen. And I also understand the professional organization that it takes to make things happen. What I hear here today is students saying you should do something and you saying that we should do something. Why don't we do something together? President Corrigan, how do you feel about creating a standard form for each student to fill out on possibly the SFSU website, and for you to lead that package of letters that we complete on standard form with your own personal letter? Because I did not understand your explanation for saying no when the student asked you to complete 2 letters. And I believe it's because you think that it would be you doing something on your part without our backing. What if we back you and you lead the way with your letter on top of our standard letters?
Okay. Now we're bargaining. So why don't I suggest this? Why don't we come together as an organization, as a group, and in order to fight for the resources that we need, instead of having a lot of letters about fee increases? Why don't we put together letters, personal stories like the one we heard over here? Why don't we put together stories about what the impact of the loss of support, the 5 years and 6 years it's taking you to get a degree, the numbers of courses that you can't get into, the new faculty that you can't take classes with? Why don't we get together on that message, and why don't we take that together to Sacramento, or down on Friday afternoons to the local offices, or to do what we have, to go in and visit with the editorial boards of the local newspapers and the local media? Why don't we work on increasing the support for higher education, not decreasing the support for higher education?